Thank you for joining us at Books as Bad as Twilight podcast. This podcast will discuss books that may or may not be as bad as the popular series Twilight. As can be expected, we will discuss the books in detail, so spoiler alert.
We highly suggest you read the book beforehand or read along with us. You can use the link in our show notes to purchase the current book we're reading. Also in our show notes are links to the Books as Bad as Twilight website and all of our social media pages. Quick shout out to our image designer, Katie Hartung. Her website is listed in our show notes at khartgraphics.com. KHART graphics.com.
Music at the beginning of the show provided by Gabe Miller Music. You can find him on YouTube, SoundCloud, and his website, GabeMillerMusic.com. But yeah, Into the Woods is basically this, it takes like 3 fairy tales, like,
Oh, yes, you told me about this, I think.
Yeah, it's like, I'm trying to think, wow.
Snow White?
No. Rapunzel, Jack and the Beanstalk, and a few others, and it basically puts them, like, makes them a little darker.
Yeah.
Explores that. It's really interesting.
Do you remember Chalk Zone? Did you ever watch that?
Yeah.
I always think of Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your long hair. Rapunzel, Rapunzel. Yeah.
That sounds familiar, though.
They had a really jazzy kind of singer in Chalk Zone. And they're talking to Rapunzel, and that she should let down her long hair.
Okay, very
you
nice.
didn't catch that from the lyrics.
It's like, no, I didn't get it.
No, not at all. What's the premise here?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
All right.
Well, welcome back. Sorry, Danielle, I took that from you.
How dare you?
Go ahead, do it.
No. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Books as Bad as Twilight podcast. My name is Danielle.
And my name is Brittany.
And together, we are reading through a book called Lost in a Book by Jennifer Donnelly to see if it is as bad or worse or better than Twilight. And today we're going to be reading chapters 10 through 14. So, there's like,
I have nothing to say to that.
So, this is we're going to have a fun time with this set of chapters, I think.
Yay, because there's plot movement.
Exactly.
And things are happening.
You know, I must say, this was the most readable set of chapters for me. Like, I mean, I wrote notes, but they're pretty limited.
Yeah.
The book read pretty smoothly, I thought.
Yeah, and chapter 13 was definitely the most extensive
of
the chapters, which is finally, like, something that's probably on age level.
Yeah,
for a 10-year-old.
For sure, yeah.
Even though we're both in our late 20s reading this.
We're doing our best.
I just learned how to read.
Yeah. We're trying. We're laughing way harder at that joke.
God.
So, yeah, I guess let's just get into it. All right, so let's start with a synopsis, Brittany.
Chapter 10. Belle's first impressions of Nevermore, and she crashes a party.
Oh, damn. Crashes a party.
That's the law-abiding Belle we know.
Oh, yeah. She's, what was I going to say? I don't know. All right.
So, last chapter, the book grew, and she's like, oh my God, it's big. Wait, hold on.
That was a great reaction. Oh my God, it's big. That's the only way you could react, really.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, look at this book. It got big. Let me step inside of it because I hear voices.
Right. That's the sane thing to do.
That's the sane thing to do, especially when all these words come fluttering out and crawling all over your skirts.
Doesn't she know Arthur Weasley? Like, didn't she have this conversation with him?
Oh, be really difficult. 2 different time periods.
Disagree. There's magic in this.
Wait, hold on. Do you think that what is it called? I became a beatboxer.
Yeah.
Sirius and James. I can't say that word. when they turn into the rats.
animagus?
Yes,
Yeah.
Beast is the animagus. Done.
That is a really cool concept.
Crossover.
But I'm gonna say no.
It's like when Mad-Eye turned Draco into a weasel.
Oh, God.
The Enchantress turned him into
a
beast.
That's transfigured.
Transfiguration.
Ooh.
No, did I say transfer?
Did you?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess it means the same.
No, it doesn't.
No. I don't know.
Turned into. There we go.
Yeah, we know.
I'll simplify my words because I'm a simple individual.
We are very simple on this podcast. We don't ask for much. Just kidding. We ask for a lot.
Yes, we do ask for a lot for this book. We're asking for reform in the public education system.
Yep.
We're asking for more liberal. Oh, I'm asking for more liberal policies.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I won't argue with
We're
you.
asking you to talk to your children about gay marriage
And sex and bestiality. You know, the normal things.
Well, maybe not bestiality.
Why not? Like, come on.
I mean, if you're gonna let gays marry, why stop there? Let them get a goat.
Well, let's not go there, Brittany. Okay.
Didn't Albus's brother fuck a goat?
That's a weird part of Harry Potter that nobody touched. Like, everybody talks about that,
but no one addresses.
Yeah, nobody talks about it. And I'm like, okay, what is up with the goats? I just don't get it. I don't get it.
He was a lonely man.
All right.
Until Neville came into his life.
Ooh.
Then that's another set of jars. A set of jars.
Set of jars.
Okay. I don't know what's wrong with me today. All right. Chapter 10. Belle's first impressions of Nevermore, and she crashes a party. Let's go. Let's do this.
Let's go. So, So, so at one point she actually says the book must be some sort of portal. And my first thought was like, okay, like, do you know what a portal is? Like, do they have concepts of portals at this point in history, do you think? Is that
I don't know.
Because I don't think they would.
Well, like, portal to what? Like, time travel? Or portal to another universe? Or portal...
Maybe both?
Or just book?
Or even... I don't even think the word portal would be relevant.
Oh, really?
I just can't see where they were at that time period.
Yeah, we have no concept of history when it comes to this stuff.
We don't, but you know.
No, they would. They would have, because if you think about it, Shakespearean, they talk about, like, fairy circles. And fairy circles are portals to get into the fairy realm. Because they had ideas of realms.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I definitely think that they have a concept of portals.
Okay, gotcha.
So she's a portal, and she's portaling away.
She's portaling away. That's great.
I think it's now a verb.
Yeah. Look, we just recorded a long episode. We're tired now.
We have one more to do, Danielle.
I know.
We got this.
We can do it. I believe in us.
Okay.
So yeah, Belle enters this book, and it actively says that her adventurous side of her won out, that she is not thinking clearly.
Yes. She almost gets hit by a carriage.
Almost gets hit by a carriage. Which just makes me think again of Mean Girls when Regina gets hit by the bus. Yeah. Like, kind of want to, like it's like a comedy beat where, like, oh, I just missed that. Boom. But, yeah, you know, you always think there's always a way to go back to Mean Girls. That's what I'll say. Yeah, so she goes to this place. Did we get the name of, like, the town?
I don't know. Let's see. So she's here. She gets transported in the middle of a gravel driveway.
Yeah.
Almost gets hit by a carriage. And, like, no one addresses how she got there.
Well, even, like, nobody, the carriages go by and, like, she's just kind of standing there and, like, nobody's there to say, like, Miss.
Okay.
Who are you?
Yeah, except, Mademoiselle, look out. But I have a problem with, it was nighttime and as Belle's eyes adjusted, she saw that she was standing in a gravel drive. Candles flickered in lanterns lining its edges. The drive appeared to cut through a vast estate, its grounds dotted by huge oaky leaves, yew trees, rose bushes, and shrubs cut in the shape of animals. Like, where's the portal?
Exactly. Where is the portal? That would have been so cool, actually, if you think about it. She walked through the book, and, like, it was, like, in a tree or something, or it was just, like, a mysterious area.
Yeah.
Where did she... That's another thing. The carriage must hit her. It's kind of like in the 7th Harry Potter movie. The very 7th one, where they apparate, and they're just in front of a bus.
Yes.
And, like, everybody's just like, yeah, we're cool. Like, some people just appeared in front of the bus, but, you know, hey.
And they jump out of the way. But that magic makes sense because it's not necessarily a portal. A portal, you need an entrance and an exit.
Right. So this book doesn't understand that. I have to stand up for a second, so I apologize. Sure.
So she's standing in front of these iron gates, and all these people are, like, heading up these, like, to this castle, or what's the French for castle? A chateau.
Chateau, is that it?
A chateau.
A chateau.
That's my bad French.
We're not. Yeah, we
accent.
didn't take French.
I took Spanish, and I still don't know Spanish.
Me too.
Wow. So they get here, and she's like, "Wow, look at this place." And there's Latin under it saying, "I conquer all," is the translation.
Which makes sense that she could read Latin, actually, being that Latin might have been a language that would have been more prevalent back then.
Especially if she's only reading books that the church, the priest has.
Right, exactly. Which, okay, good. Good on you, book.
Good on you, book. So it's all this stuff. There are statues of Hades, and his wife outside. So it's giving us a theme. Who do we think lives here?
Gee, I wonder. I wonder.
For the first appearance since the introduction of the book, death.
Yeah. Which okay, like, I don't know if the book is like, we'll get into this, but does death actually live here? Like, does she live in Nevermore? Or is she just... like, how is this book written? Like, is it just a character of death? Like, somebody who is sort of just like...
I don't know. Because it doesn't address that yet.
Yeah, maybe we'll get into it.
I hope so. Because that would make sense, you know? Like, is this where her actual castle is? But then where was she with love?
Right, exactly.
You know? Like, I don't know. We don't know yet. Or if this is just a trap to keep Belle there so that she can't fall in love with Beast and reverse the spell.
Like, maybe this character that we meet in another chapter that we're going to be talking about, maybe she's like a Horcrux to, like, death, you know? I know that's not true, but just stay with me. Like, you know how Voldemort uses a Horcrux, like, to possess Ginny Weasley? I'm just thinking of better books, okay? That's all. Just sorry, okay? I can't help it.
So she gets here, and like you said, the adventures part won out. So she's like, yay, brisk pace down the drive. Go on.
Well, I was just going to say, this chapter ends with her realizing that she's in a shimmering silk ball gown. And, like, can I just say, like, okay, girl, you know what time period you're in where, you know, people wear corsets? Like, could you not realize that you couldn't breathe? Come on now, girl.
Yeah. Especially there's, like, women's wore gowns in all colors of the summer garden, and men sport silk frock coats and matching breeches. Gemstone buttons winked from their waistcoats. So, like, I like the imagery of this. So I think this is a little bit better.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't like the next chapter. The next paragraph, rather. Footman announced royalty and foreign dignitaries. She watched wide-eyed as a Japanese princess, a
Shah
of Persia, and a Russian count, an ambassador from England ascended the stairs. Like, were there such extravagant parties like that? Where all these people... I don't know much about history. Can one of our readers tell us that? Because is this more supposed to be fantasy? Is it supposed to just show how important this party was?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, like... It's referring to, like, real-world places, but yet we're in a fictional book.
Yeah, so we're in a fictional book within a fictional book.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the part that gets a little problematic.
Yeah.
But, the whole book is problematic in ways, so... But, yeah. So it is a detail that is a little flimsy.
Also, I don't know if I know this as a fact or if I read it somewhere, but the one part says how people were greeting each other. She saw men bow to women and kiss their hands. That was actually improper, to kiss the hand of someone. You're supposed to kiss, like, above it. Like, not actually make contact.
Well, actually, yeah, that's really smart, because think about... I should know the answer to this, but, like, I'm thinking of Jane Austen. In her books, like, and in the adaptations of her books, typically what the characters do is they will curtsy to each other. That is, like, the common way of greeting. So I'm wondering if, like what you're saying, like, does this book, like... How much does this book know about the historical time period that it's taking place in? It's interesting.
I think so. I'm pretty sure that they kiss the air above it.
Yeah, because, you're right. It would have been improper.
To actually kiss the hand.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
And so she talks to herself again.
Yeah, as one does.
What a contrast I'd make to the elegant company, she said ruefully, looking down at her clothing. In my filthy dress and with my dusty... Boots, she was about to say, but the word died in her throat.
Boots. That makes me think of Dorothy.
I was just about to say that. Where's Maps?
Yeah.
And she's in a silk ball gown.
Yep. I just think of Elizabeth Swann in Pirates of the Caribbean, where she's like, I can't breathe. Like,
yes. Yeah.
This doesn't happen.
It's Cinderella. So that's what that was. That was Cinderella.
That's true.
She wants to go to this party, and she magically has a gown. She just didn't get a pumpkin.
True. Yeah. She didn't get a pumpkin as transportation. She got a portal.
She got a portal?
She got a portal. What that is, we don't really know. Okay, we don't know. So, on to, right?
11, yeah.
Okay, let's
I think
do 11.
I'm done with that.
Okay.
It's just like, oh my gosh, look at all this fancy stuff. And I'm in a dress.
And I'm in a dress.
So, chapter 11, we learn about the Countess of the Land of the Dead.
Oh.
Yes.
So mysterious.
Yes.
Crazy. Okay. So...
What are your notes on this one?
What's that? My notes?
Yeah.
There's not many. That's only it right there. Only 2 lines. So this is an example to me of a chapter that read really smoothly.
Yes.
Just because I didn't write that many notes.
Mm-hmm.
The only note I really have here is it talks about like how it says at the castle she could only read stories, meaning the Beast Castle. But here, she could live one.
Yes.
And this just feeds into the topic that we were talking about, where, no, she really is living her own fantasy, her own story in Beauty and the Beast. That's the brilliance of it.
Yes.
So I wrote, what the fuck? You are living one out in this not in Nevermore, but in this book. In
the story of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
She is living out a fairy tale, and now she's living out another fairy tale.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, what? Another one? Oh. So that's my only note. I don't have, surprisingly I don't have much to say about this. What about you?
I think it's pretty good so far.
Yeah, it's not a bad chapter.
This chapter is pretty good. I like it a lot. And it kind of alludes to the fact that it's not weird that she popped out of nowhere, because they talk about Nevermore itself. I think turn Nevermore. Oh, okay, excuse me. So she meets a guy.
Yes,
and the guy is like, haha, like, this is where you are now. I would like to take you up to the castle. You can if you want, blah, blah, blah. And he talks about the Countess who lives here. He goes, I must return to the Countess, the young man said, lowering his arm. Turn Nevermore's pages if you wish, or close its cover. The choice is yours. So they know they're in Nevermore.
Right.
They know that this is a fictional place. They're inside of a book.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that Death is playing all of these parts, or that these characters in the book are all separate entities?
Yes. I think Death, being an immortal creature, might have captivated these people in this book. I think that they went in there willingly and they stayed. And I think this might be her like little trophy room of people.
Yeah.
You know, like this is her collection.
So would it be people like, because how does that work? Because Death obviously takes souls for her own because she's Death. But how
Maybe ones she finds interesting, which would have made a much better wager than the 3 million gold pieces.
Wouldn't it have been?
Yeah, because like Beast is an interesting character. So is Belle, apparently, because she's perfect. So it would be nice to have a little collection of Belle.
Yeah.
Sprinkled in her Nevermore.
They could be like immortal and they can never die, like, and they're like prisoners there.
They're always partying. It's like the 7 deadly sins, like in one book. Got gluttony, pride, which we'll see in the next chapter with the showdown.
Yeah.
That's pride.
Yeah.
And that would explain why there's all these different dignitaries.
Right.
You know, that's my theory. This is Death's collection of people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, Bella's being tempted in the pages of Nevermore by this man with thick hair, was pulled back and tied in a black ribbon, and half a smile played on his lips.
Oh man.
I mean, I'd be enticed too.
Yeah. Yeah, this I don't make much of this guy. I don't know. What do you make of him?
Oh, well, we find out his name is Henri, so we're just going to say Henri.
Yeah,
Next
that's
chapter.
true, yeah.
His name is Henri. I don't know. He's definitely going to try to make her stay. He's going to try to be her love interest. But I think she might fall for it. But I don't know. I think she'll fall for it, but I don't see the reason why she would go back to the castle.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I agree. Me neither. It doesn't quite make sense, except narrative economy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, okay, that's how the narrative's going to go. She has to go back to the castle.
Yes.
Like, our narrative demands it of her. It doesn't make sense, but, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It has to. The hand of God kind of complex.
Yeah. It's not always a good thing, but yeah.
So this chapter was pretty good, I thought. And you said you think it went smoothly besides the fact that she's in a fairy tale within a fairy tale.
Yeah, I'm not... The whole concept is a little unsettling to me, but I'm not going to say there was not much to nitpick about. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, I wanted to bring up one other point. They talk about the Countess, and it's the place is the castle in which they are. I can't speak French, so I'm just going to say the translation. Land of the Dead. I'm not sure. I wish to meet her. The young man laughed. It's a horrible title, I agree. It was given to an ancestor of the Countess's after he'd won a particularly bloody battle. It is much fiercer than she is, I promise you. So I like that because it's taking... We know it's Death. We know because we had the prologue.
Right.
And I'm not going to read more into that than I would have normally because you could get into the whole, is Death actually mortal?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But I like this because it's separating Belle from the truth of it being Death.
Okay.
So Henri is covering the Countess's ass, basically giving her a backstory.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's true. I think also there's this bit of, I'm going to call it book porn for people who love books and read this book. It says, Belle said, "What is this place?" And he says, "A bit of magic, like all books," the man replied. "An escape, a place where you can leave cares and worries behind." He smiled. at least for a chapter or two. So it's like basically this idea that you get lost in a book. Oh, title drop. What? Like,
it's so funny. I also think that goes back to what we were talking about in our second podcast, where it's like pandering to the readers.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So I guess on to chapter 12.
Yes, we are introduced into Henri. Like, the first sentence is, "My name is Henri, by the way."
Right.
Said Henri. Said the young man. So,
literally.
So we know this is Henri now. And
Henri with an I. Okay.
The French way.
He's dangerous. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the French way. My bad.
I'm pretty sure that's the French way.
Okay, I thought he was dangerous.
I'm stating things as fact, and I don't know if they're fact, just so you know.
Oh, gosh. That's so funny. But yeah, we've got Henri. We meet Henri. He is, he's a man. That's
He's a duke.
A duke.
He is a duke.
Yes.
Because there's French, and I can't read that. So, and that's what I don't like about this. What I don't like about this book either is there's French in there that's not easily understandable.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Duc das
Choices passes.
Yeah, past choices maybe. The Duke of Past Choices. I don't know. That's how it reads to me.
Yeah,
but like I'm not going to know what that is unless I know French, which I don't.
It's a little problematic again. Yeah. And he says at one point, let me see if I can find it. He name drops a glass slipper. So you can get the Cinderella
and marrying
thing.
you after a single dance.
So we got the Cinderella. Oh, Belle's in a Cinderella story. She's gonna like pull the Hilary Duff thing, you know?
Yeah.
And so they have like a little bit of a back and forth with dialogue.
Which seems more realistic than anyone that she had with Beast.
I'll go with that too. Yeah. I still think it's a bit of a shallow back and forth, but I agree with you 100% because at least it makes sense. Like with the Beast, like their dialogue kind of like, okay, so this is a great example that I never thought about before. It's in the first Harry Potter movie. And when Hagrid says to Harry, "You're a wizard," or no, what is, or no, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. Harry goes, when like, Uncle Vernon's saying, like, don't tell him anything in the movie.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember how it goes. Don't you know when your mom and dad learned it all or something? And he's like, learned what? And then, so he gets asking, learned what? And then Hagrid responds, you're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast talking about that, and they're like, that doesn't make sense. It's the jazz hands again. In the book, it's better, obviously, but like,
in the movie, they had a cut.
Yeah, they basically, it doesn't make sense why Hagrid would follow with that dialogue. It's only the movie I guess with the narrative economy again, that the movie wants to do this. But if Harry said learned what, Hagrid's response would have been learned magic. Your parents were witches and wizards, and you are too. That's how the Beast and Belle's dialogue comes off to me.
Yes.
This was much better.
Much better.
But sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I like it because, like, Belle is showing a side of her that's a little bit more jokey. Because she knows she's in a book, and the character, Henri, knows they're in a book.
Right.
So everything they say to one another is very, like, who cares? It's like when I talk to guys I don't know. I'm a flirt. I know I am. My husband knows I am. But, so I'll just flirt. And this is exactly what it sounds like when I'm talking to them.
Nice.
When I'm talking to other people. This is starting to sound tempting, said Belle, playing along. I do love hedgehogs. Yeah. Which is so weird.
I know.
You'd have beautiful little princes and princesses, 20 of them. Oh, is that all? Like,
yeah.
No, 30. And you'll rule the kingdom from your bed. Like, so it's cutesy.
It's playful.
It's playful. Yeah. All in his arm, you know.
My favorite line is when he says, you'd eat cake for breakfast and strudel for dinner, and you'd never get out of bed. You'd have monkeys, parrots, and hedgehogs. And then as you continued, she did say, I do love hedgehogs. Yeah. Which, ooh, Belle, different side to you.
I know.
I thought you liked the more wolf
loose.
kind. Yeah.
They're not very beastly, are they?
No. They're kind of timid. But anyway.
Yep, and he knows her name.
Yes, that's a creepy part.
Are you ready, Belle? He asked. You know my name, too? She said apprehensively. And the Countess told me about you. She's very interested in you. Mm-hmm. So, and red flags, Belle.
Red flags
Get out of there.
Everywhere. Come on, girl.
I had a stalker once, actually, who later became my boyfriend at the time. Was not good.
Oh, my God.
Bad relationship. But he's like, I got a friend request on Facebook. And ladies and gentlemen, these are flags. You get a request from someone you've never met in life. Don't accept it. And
good advice.
So I accepted it, and he started a conversation like, how do I know you? It's like, I saw you from across the campus one time. I'm like, okay. Never saw the red flag. I've wasted 11 months of my life.
Oh my gosh.
So, red flags, everyone.
Come on, Belle.
Come on, Belle.
Well, at one point he says, I thought this was kind of funny. He's like, no Prince Charming for you then? And I'm like, haha, get it? Because she does have a Prince Charming.
She doesn't know it yet.
Beast. Get it?
Oh, maybe Henri is part of Death then, like a character she created.
That's what I'm wondering. It would be interesting, an interesting concept.
Yeah, it's all just fairy tale.
Yeah, whether we'll see what it does with it. But yeah, it's interesting.
All right. So overall, chapter 11 was pretty decent.
No, that was chapter 12.
Oh, that was chapter...
I know.
Oh, shoot.
I know,
We're burning through this.
I know we are. That's what I mean.
Well, chapter 13 is a little longer. So that's a little bit more intense.
This'll be fun.
So now she is on the arm of Henri, and they go into the ball. Chapter 13.
Chapter 13.
Where there's a Shakespeare showdown at the chateau. And mysterious eats.
Oh my gosh. This is the best thing ever. I'm like reading this. I'm like, this is like our very own rap battle. Like,
Danielle is so excited for this.
I am. Like,
it's Hamilton.
Yeah, it is. You know what I meant? I forgot to bring it down, but I meant to bring down I do have some Shakespeare plays upstairs. So I was going to bring Macbeth down or something and like go
Don't
back and
say it.
What?
The M word.
Macbeth?
Yes.
Why?
That is like... Number one, drama, don't ever say the word. It's always the Scottish play or the M word. It's bad luck to mention the name. You just cursed this podcast.
What?
Danielle.
I don't believe this.
Look it up. I'm being very serious.
I am confused.
How do you read Shakespeare and not know about the M word?
I'm going to say it again another time. Just to taunt everyone.
It is a cursed word.
But it's my favorite Shakespeare play.
Oh, then you call it by its true name, the Scottish play.
The Scottish play. That wasn't a good accent, but I tried. Okay? I tried. And that's all that matters. All right.
I'm looking it up.
You look it up.
According to a theatrical superstition called the Scottish curse, speaking the name inside in theater.
Oh, in a theater.
This is a theater.
Yeah, we're in a theater right now.
Suspicion forbids quoting it within a theater, except as part of the actual rehearsal or performance of the play.
Okay, so Macbeth. I've never heard that before. It's like, damn it, Danielle, what's wrong with you?
That's so funny. And I don't even read Shakespeare.
Speaking of name drops, though, can we talk about? It's on my copy, page 76.
Okay.
Let's see. It's second to last paragraph. Let me see if I can. Oh yeah, Henri says, "Haven't you always said that you want more than a provincial life?" And I was like, name drop from the song. I want much more than this provincial life.
I was waiting for an actual name. I was like,
I know. When I was reading it, I was like, I'm just gonna spin it however I want.
A nod.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny.
So, then we get this I don't know what's in between. I didn't write many notes before I wrote Shakespeare Battle.
Oh, okay. Well, they are just walking around. Henri is showing her, like, all these people. Like, look at all the dancers and blah, 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 blah. And she didn't want to dance because
That's right, yeah.
she claims she has like 2 left feet or something like that. I don't really remember. But they dance, and when it comes to an end, they are on the edge of the dance floor, and he introduced her to Edward and his troupe in Paris. They were in Paris for a production of Hamlet. Which causes
the Shakespeare battle. And this is wonderful. I honestly, I have to tell you, this is gonna sound crazy, but I think this is the best part of the book.
So far, yeah.
It embraces
hits it
this
on the head.
Yeah, it like embraces this crazy like wackiness that is so unashamed about it. I loved it. I was like, okay. I can get on board. I mean, it was fun, I guess. It was just interesting.
Oh, I definitely think it was fun because you have this aristocrat. Well, this theater person.
Yeah.
He wasn't really an aristocrat, but he's everyone wants to be a cat.
Danielle. I know, yeah. You know it.
So you have this snobbish theater person who's like a girl, a commoner.
Yeah.
What do you know about Shakespeare? To be or not to be?
Yeah.
Shallow and pedantic. And she's like, excuse you, bitch. And she starts off with smiling sweetly. She clears her throat. Who's there? She intoned in a deep voice, as deep a voice as she could muster. And Edward, this praised Shakespearean actor, is like, excuse me?
I beg your pardon.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and Belle kills it.
Belle kills it. It's a duel of words. Mm-hmm. Somebody thrilled. Did you see it? Trilled another, not thrilled.
I do. Trilled another.
Trilled another.
Okay.
So they go back and forth quoting, what was it? Hamlet, I
believe. Yeah, it's Hamlet. Yeah.
Long
live the king.
Long live the king. And like the guy's sweating.
Yeah, he's sweating. That's so funny. Like, he's sweating. It's just how intense this battle gets is just amazing.
It goes on for a page.
It's a long one, yeah. It just kept going, but in a good way.
Mm-hmm. And so Belle wins.
Belle wins, of course.
And he gives her a stiff bow, gracelessly conceding defeat, and turned on his heel. So everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're so cool, Belle.
Yeah.
So she's finally belonging.
Yeah, she's finally belonging. Yeah, she can do a battle of the Shakespeare.
Battle of the Shakespeare.
Yeah. I was like that's it. So we then come to meet, what is her name?
The Countess?
Yes, the Countess.
Well, she meets all these people, and then she comes to the Countess is like, come, child.
Yeah.
I need some fresh air.
Yes.
And like they said Countess of the Dead, Land of the Dead.
Yeah. They give her a longer name at one point. I can't find it. I know I saw it because I think she meets her actually before the Shakespeare battle, or it's before the dance, because
they mention her.
Yeah, well, or like maybe they don't meet like formally, but like they smile or something at each other. Madame Comtesse.
Comtesse. So Countess Comtesse.
Countess Comtesse. Okay, yeah. Comtesse. Yeah. It's interesting. And Belle, one thing that stood out to me was that Belle, sort of the way Belle speaks to these people, it almost seems like she's one of them, which made me very conflicted about how I felt, because
she's a commoner.
Right, exactly. Like, why would she talk like this? And perhaps she's read a lot of good books, so maybe her, but at the same time
she hasn't, though.
Exactly. What has she had access to?
Yeah.
You know, just because she speaks Latin doesn't mean her vocabulary is as graceful in the way she would talk, you know. Even the whole character of Belle is a bit leading. I mean, not that a character can't love books in a small town, but just her.
Well, that was the thing that confused me. There's only a handful of books that the priest had. She read them a dozen times over. And then she's naming all these things that she's read.
Right.
Like, a few chapters back when she names 3 authors in a row and she's quoting Shakespeare and she's talking about the Roman epics and all these, like, Dante's Inferno. And so I was like, well, this priest must have had a bit more.
I was going to say.
Than this small little library.
Right. And in our context, we look at Shakespeare and we're like, wow, like, he's so heralded. Obviously, he was heralded back then, too, but, like,
I don't know.
He was in England.
In England, okay.
But, you know, I forget when the printing press was invented. So I don't know.
The Bible is the big thing on the printing press.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, the Bible was, like, a huge thing. Obviously, things were much more mass-produced. But, like, Shakespeare didn't carry the same weight that it does today, the way Bell talks about it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But, but yeah. Let's see. What else can I comment on?
Yeah, what are your notes on 13?
Well.
Because I don't write squat.
I
just talk.
I need notes, man. I need them. No, what I was going to say is that, like, so a trope that I hate in literature, and unfortunately it does happen a lot in Harry Potter. I'm sorry, Harry Potter.
That's fine.
Where like where like a character will like be talking to another character, and like so say like a character would go, I've been wanting to tell you, like, you're really effing annoying, and then the other character will, like, walk away. It's like, well, they didn't hear them, they just walked away because they didn't hear them. And it's like, I hate that trope where, like, somebody, like, just doesn't hear, like, an important thing that, like, a character says.
Oh, are you talking about the final thing?
I'm trying to find where exactly it was.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find it. It says, so she's talking about Nevermore. She's like, I'm Nevermore's author. You see, it's a special book, very special. It contains many stories, but this story, Belle, this one I'm writing just for you. And Belle asks, why? Why me? And then it says, but the Countess didn't hear her question. She and Belle had strolled to the far edge of the terrace, and her attention had been captured by something there. Like, bullshit, she heard you answer the question, but she won't, obviously, because, you know. Yeah. But I hate that trope. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I hate it.
I hate it.
Oh, boy, I'm famished.
And, well, I know, yeah. And at one point, Belle, let me see, when they're eating the food, where is it? She, like, rolls her eyes. Like,
really? I don't remember that. Where is that?
Like, in delight, like, but it's, like, with pleasure. Let me see. Yeah.
The macarons.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Arranged by color on a silver tray. Looked delicious.
Yeah.
She chose the chocolate one, bit into it, and rolled her eyes with pleasure.
Oh, my gosh.
I've had them before. I don't think macarons are that great.
I like macarons, but, like...
Macaroons, whatever. I'm sorry.
They're fine. Macaroons. They're not, like... Depends on which one you have.
Give me mochi. I'd rather eat mochi then.
Did we talk about this?
Yes, I have to get you some mochi.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'll bring that in next time.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be our snack. Yes. We don't have anything right now.
Did you ever see the YouTube video with the little girl? She's making her way... Like, she wants stuff from the pantry, and she just goes... snacks.
No. That sounds amazing.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Next to the little girl that's sleeping, and they go, psst. And she goes, what? Snacks.
I haven't even seen it, and I'm laughing.
Oh my god, I love memes.
Me too.
Oh god. So anyways, sorry. She is here, and the baker is like, oh my goodness, here's some macaroons. The hardest pastry in the world to make, according to Gordon Ramsay. I love Gordon Ramsay, shush. And so all this is happening. She's eating. She's very excited, and beetles start crawling all over the table.
Yeah. This makes me think. There's a book which I would highly recommend, especially if you like the horror genre or like thriller. It's literally called The Beetle. and it's by something Richard Marsh, I think his name is, and it's basically about like this like beetle, like this human that can become a beetle. It's really creepy, but that's what it made me think of, and it freaked me out. Like
saying that reminds me of The Fly.
I've never read The Fly or seen it, whatever it is.
It makes me want to vomit. Ugh. I hate it. But anyways, go on. The beetle just...
Well, I was just going to say when I...
does things.
Yeah, like it possesses people. Like it's creepy. Ew. I know. And when I had to read that book for school...
Why would they make you read that for school?
It was for 19th century literature. I was so freaked out. Like I was reading it and I was like...
bugs.
I was like, I don't... Like I was reading and I was so engrossed in it. And then I looked up and I'm like... Oh my god, what is my life?
Am I a beetle?
Yeah.
Like, it also reminds me of The Mummy, when those beetles, like the dung beetles, got all everywhere.
I've not seen The Mummy.
I've not seen The Mummy.
Brendan
Fraser is good looking.
Yeah? Is he?
In those.
I haven't, yeah, I was going to say, like, all I think of is George of the Jungle.
Oh,
yeah.
That was a bad movie.
That movie... We had like all these Disney VHS tapes, and that preview is almost on every single one. I could probably recite it if I wanted to.
And then he goes into the city and he hits a building or whatever.
Yeah. You're like,
idiot.
George.
George.
She's like, you're right. I'm in love with him.
So anyways,
great stuff.
So she's eating these pastries and two beetles come out scuttling and they use berries to spell out a very long message.
I know.
Like they must have been going really quick.
Can you picture that as a movie?
Like there's only two beetles. Two more beetles. Oh no, four. I'm sorry. There's 4 beetles.
Come on, Brittany.
A
Numberist.
Creature as big as an apple with a shiny black body, iridescent wings, and the creature. So there's only 3. 3.
There are 3?
Yeah, 3. The creature came out with his spiky horns. Blah blah blah. 2 more beetles were crawling over the raspberry tart. Their spiky legs sinking into the custard filling. They get all these berries and they spell out the following on the white tablecloth. 3 things eaten, love lies beaten. 3 things lost, a dreadful cost.
Now, do you think the beetles are actively trying to, like, are they working against death? Are they trying to...
I think they're sent from love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would she send, like, such a horrid thing?
To warn Belle.
I know, but
because not to eat anything.
Oh, okay.
See, I think it's a message from love, which is why Death freaks out. Like she's like filthy vermin, and she tries to swat them away. But they were there for a while to spell out that message.
I know, like she didn't like think to say something sooner.
Yeah, or squash them quicker. But yeah, I think they're sent from love because it doesn't make sense for Death to be spelling out these things.
Right. Well, also at one point, so after that, the Countess says, Mouchard, come. And, like, wasn't Mouchard one of the names of the vultures?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, because then it says the hulking servant in black immediately appeared. So I thought that was interesting.
Yep. That was definitely him.
Now,
that was the one that chastised her for putting the book in the library to begin with. Mm. So here's a vulture with a conscience.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a conscience.
Yeah. Oh, well, like we were talking about it before, this is a book that Death wrote.
Right.
And like that's supposed to be the indication that this is Death. The fact that she called on Mouchard, the fact that she has the same like pale skin, black clothing. So because that's your indication that this is Death and this is a world she created.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he turns into human for this portion.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
But I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, were you going to bring up the food thing?
Yeah. Okay, so I like this because not a lot of fantasy novels use it. In fairy lore, if you eat anything while you're in their domain, you're trapped there. And you're either trapped there because nothing in the human realm tastes as good, or you're just spellbound by their culture. And I really like that. And it was driving me insane because I could not figure out where I knew this from. But 3 things eaten, love lies beaten. And it kind of gives that feel like we were talking about before, Alice in Wonderland, eat me, drink me. And like now, because we know that Death wants her to be distracted from the beast. So 3 things eaten, love is beaten. And so don't eat anything, Belle.
Right, yeah, please.
Don't eat anything. You already ate one thing.
Yeah, I wonder if okay, so that's good to bring up because I wonder if that's actually a thing, like that the book's going to be implementing.
I hope so.
I hope so too. It would make it more interesting.
Yeah, depending on how long she stays in these places.
Right.
And I wonder what she's going to lose.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, what she already lost everything. I mean,
yeah, she lost her father, her mother to the plague.
Yeah.
If you follow the movie.
Which this is, so.
Yeah.
And, we did talk about, too, the movie you mentioned, Spirited Away. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, oh, go ahead. No, that's something completely different. Go on, Spirited Away.
Sure? Well, I was just going to say Spirited Away does that thing where the parents eat, in the spirit realm, or whatever you would call that, and they turn into little pigs, or big pigs, whatever. That freaked me out. That was my first Studio Ghibli movie, and I watched it recently, maybe a few years ago, and that repulsed, in like a good way, but it repulsed me, and I was like, oh my god, like that is horrifying.
Yeah, it is.
It really, wow, what a good movie that is.
I love that book because it's such a, I love that movie because it's such good imagery with greed. Because you have no face, and like when they're in the bathhouse and everyone's taking all this gold and he's just getting bigger and bigger. And when she comes around and she only needs 1 coin and he offers all of this and she goes, I only need 1, thanks. And she runs off and does the things that she needs to do. Right. She is not greedy. Her parents are greedy, which is why they were turned into pigs. People in the bathhouse are greedy, which is why they were damned as well. So I loved that.
That is such a good movie. What was it? What were you going to say before?
I was like, I think that she does lose something.
She loses some hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I forgot where that was.
It's on page 86 in my copy. Yes. So it's at the very end.
In the head. But before we get to that, the Countess is trying to make her eat more. I hope you'll have some tart, a bit of cake. But Belle had found she had lost her appetite. And her instinct and the insects had startled her, which was a smart move on Love to send buggies.
I wonder how Love knows about this, because Death was trying to do this behind her back. So, like, I wonder how Love found out. And
well, she knows that Death cheats.
Yeah,
because that whole.
Did she know about the book though? I guess so.
I wish she would have to. I don't know how she knows.
Yeah, but and also to the food thing. Food is generally seen as like a community thing. So it's almost like the Countess is like beckoning Belle in to come to this community, to feel welcome, to feel included. Yeah. To suck her in.
And I like how the Countess talks about, on occasion, there's a mad woman who keeps them, talking about the Beatles. She lives nearby. On occasion, the wretched things escape. Okay. So, like, that's interesting, too. Maybe Death can never escape Love.
Yeah, maybe Love is in the book too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love will always seep into stories.
Right.
In this case, because Death is writing the story, she can make her the mad woman.
Right.
But Love is still there.
Right.
It's like when criminals, like sometimes people with like. Or villains. Oh, let's just go to Voldemort. It's the easiest thing.
Of course, yeah.
It all started off with right intentions.
Yeah,
So a villain never thinks that they're the bad guy. Just like Death. She probably doesn't think that she's the bad guy, even though her name is Death, and it's just for sake of ease. But that's why she's painting herself in the good light in her own story of Nevermore. And Love is the villain.
Okay.
That's why I think, because your villains never think that they're the villain.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And but okay, here's my question for you. is death a villain? And I'm talking very broad speaking. In this
Broad
book,
speaking, no.
yeah.
No, I don't think so. If you're
Right.
talking about, like, philosophical, like, us as people, death is not a villain. Death is a
Right.
part of life.
Right.
You cannot have life without death.
So I'm wondering if, like, I guess, it's just a little, I like it, but at the same time, it's like,
Yeah, I think we're reading just a bit too much, I'm reading a bit too much into this transaction.
I don't think, I think there's a lot, that's a really smart way to read it, though. But it's just like the whole concept of death is just a little, just flimsy to me, I guess. Just something about it doesn't work.
In the book?
In the book.
In this book.
Yeah,
Okay.
just because, like you said, because technically, like you're speaking, death is the villain. And I don't see death as a villain. And I think there could be something to be said about death in this book. I don't think it will be said, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we can see where it goes. Yeah. So.
Well, that's what when we talked about the prologue in general.
Yeah.
Love and death are not opposites. You know, love
Right.
is such a good trait. Like, it's such a positive trait. But you can't have love and hate, because that doesn't mesh well with the storyline.
Right.
So it feels...
It would have been interesting, though, if they did have that. Because then...
Hate?
Yeah, because then, like... Because the beast, like... I guess you could argue maybe I don't know if I agree with what I'm saying, but, like, the hate in his heart led him to be the beast that he has become. So it'd be interesting if, like, hate infiltrated that.
Yeah.
But...
I think better opposites would be selfish and selfless.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that encompasses love and hate, but not being hate.
Yeah.
You know, because the beast was selfish and Bella is selfless because she's selfish. She saved her father.
Right.
Beast is selfish because he wanted things the way he wanted them.
Right.
And he wanted to preserve his image and his reputation, his wants.
Mm-hmm. And he is selfish, technically. Like, so yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, I think that might have been a little bit better pairing, but how are you going to name love and death?
Yeah.
Selfish and selfless.
Yeah.
That's a little...
They could have, yeah. It's
hard to do, especially for someone, especially for a story geared to children.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
So, anyways.
So, we get this part, if I'm correct, we see that Belle leaves, like, returns to the castle.
Oh, do you want to talk about her hair?
So, Belle, I guess the Countess takes some of her hair.
Oh, yeah, how did that happen? She hugged her. Her rings snagged the tendrils of Belle's hair.
I'm trying to find that part where she gets her hair.
It is on mine, page 85. 85.
85?
On mine.
Let's see. Then she gathered Belle into her arms and hugged her tightly. As she released her, one of her rings snagged in a tendril of Belle's hair, pulling out several long strands. And I'm wondering where this is going. If that's interesting.
I think that's part of the 3 Lost from the Beatles.
Oh, okay.
3 things eaten, love lies beaten, 3 things lost, a dreadful cost.
So it's like something of hers that's lost.
Something of hers that was lost.
Okay.
So a little bit of clues here and there.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's a little creepy.
That
Countess,
that the Countess wraps her hair around her finger.
You know, as one does.
Yeah. As Belle and Henri walked away, the Countess removed the strands of Belle's hair from her ring and wrapped them around her fingers. Her eyes glittered as she did, and her smile darkened.
Oh.
Intentional.
Yeah. And Belle leaves, she says, "Thank you for everything," and she says goodbye, and she stepped out of Nevermore. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why this was necessarily added, but because the book mostly, for the most part, like, it kind of goes back and forth between Belle's point of view and the Beast, and then occasionally the narrator, like, kind of pops out and...
From both.
Yeah, and says things like, and then Henri whispered, "We'll be waiting for you."
Yeah.
Like when she can't hear that.
It's that trope that you said you hate. When as soon as somebody walks far enough away, there's a word. And that happens again in the next chapter. And I'll point that out to you. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I guess let's move into chapter 14 then.
Yeah, chapter 14.
Right. I have literally no notes for this chapter.
It's very short.
Yeah.
Very, very short. Not as short as 12 sentences. But chapter 14, Belle is back in the, quote, real world.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, before she stepped into Nevermore, everyone left the library.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, come down when the tea is ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
we're gonna have dinner.
We're gonna have dinner. So now she was gone in Nevermore for God knows how long. We don't know.
I was wondering how time works, and it doesn't really tell us.
It doesn't seem to affect, or at least time in Nevermore moves much quicker than time in the real world.
Yeah, because we can assume, I guess.
She's been gone for hours in Nevermore because she was dancing, she spoke to the Countess, she had this Shakespearean showdown. She's been gone for a while.
I love that showdown.
So we come back and we hear Chip calling out for Belle.
Yep, he's looking for her, and she's got a guilty conscience. She knows it's wrong. Like, she is just quickly, like, says, Belle quickly picked the book up off the floor and placed it back on the table where she'd found it. She started for the door, but before she got to it, she heard a different voice. Mm-hmm. And she hears this, it says, it's a special book. Very special. It contains many stories, but this story, Belle, this one I'm writing just for you. Mm-hmm. Which is definitely like a creepy element. Thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. That kind of like sticks in her head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she ends up putting it in a drawer in the desk.
In the desk in that hidden room.
Mm-hmm. So she kind of plays it off like, oh, yeah, just exploring. I was cleaning some more, as one does. Mm-hmm. And, Chip is, a little dumb. Just kidding. He's not dumb.
He's a child.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I promise. And he's like, all right, come on, let's go downstairs. Mm-hmm. And so
she's like, it's a magic book. Like, because Chip's like, what are you doing? What did you find? And she didn't tell him about the magic book because she lagged behind, feeling bad that she had told him a fib. She hadn't meant to. The words just popped out. Now she realized why, because she didn't want to share the book.
Which, that makes me think, like, why doesn't she want to share the book?
Well, it makes sense for someone in her predicament. She's trapped in this castle. She has nowhere to go. Now she finally has something of her own.
Yeah, but then why doesn't it explore that? Like,
oh, it might.
Maybe it will. I don't know.
But definitely not in this chapter.
No, not in this chapter.
I think it also speaks to this sentence here. Turn Nevermore's pages if you wish, or close its cover. The choice is yours. She's finally given a choice.
Yeah.
She didn't, she chose to save her father. Right. But when you're in that situation, it's not really a choice. It's either you do or you don't, you know? Like, you condemn your father and live a horrible death, or live a horrible death and your father lives. It's no choice in the matter, especially if you love someone. Yeah. And she didn't really have a choice with the beast,
That's
so
true.
Maybe she's feeling this is her first choice that she ever made was Nevermore.
I agree with you, but I still think they need to explore it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's actually a good reason. Like, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, it'd be so cool, to get into that Belle's head about that, I think. And actually, you're right. It literally says right after that, the last choice Belle had made all on her own was to trade her freedom for her father's.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that. I must have retained that without even remembering.
So astute, Brittany.
So astute.
And so Chip's like, Belle, come on. Hurry the F up.
Cheeses.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they call it, what do they call it? Toasted cheese sandwiches. And I'm like, I want some.
That's actually, I read a Tumblr post about this. It's like, why do Americans call it grilled cheese? We don't have it you don't make it on a grill. It's like, well, what do you call it? Toasted cheese. It's like, well, you don't put it in a toaster.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah, let's go. Bite us.
I'll bite you. So she leaves the library.
To go
and
eat.
Yeah, she's looking forward to dinner with her companions. And
it's the trope that you hate.
Yeah, some woman is heard laughing when nobody's there.
But had anyone been standing in the room near the desk, they might have smelled the scent of roses and heard a woman laughing.
I hate how that it just stops a sentence and then starts with "and" like that. It happens too much. It's not that you can't start a sentence with "and," but come on now.
I mean, you shouldn't start a sentence with
it can be done. It's just you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why it can't.
I think when you start a sentence with "and," it should be in the middle of a dialogue.
Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
how common people speak.
Yeah.
Well,
even I think she might be doing it for emphasis, but I mean, you could just put a comma.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's be real here.
I know we're getting very nitpicky about style, but it's you hear when you're growing up in school and you're taking your grammar classes and your comp classes, and they say you can't start a sentence with because or and you have a book that does that quite regularly.
Yeah. Not the best.
Yeah. But these 5 chapters I liked.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I liked them, but they were refreshing.
Yes.
For sure.
Compared to the previous ones, I didn't have as much trouble with them. I did read them much quicker.
Same.
There was definitely more character development.
Much more invested.
I'm much more invested now that we have Nevermore.
Yeah.
10 chapters in. So here, I finally feel like we're getting the story rolling.
This is what we've been waiting for, because all it's been doing is treading water. We finally got something new, which is great.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the next 5 chapters, which we're going to talk
these
about
stars.
Next episode.
Okay, for these chapters. Oh, yeah. What is... Oh, yes, 15 through 19, right?
Yes, 15 through 19. And, yeah. So, if you like this show, and if you want to, tell your friends about it and stuff, go ahead and do that. And give us 5 stars on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can listen to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, most likely Spotify. We're not sure yet, but...
We're still playing around with a lot of stuff. This is only our... third episode?
Fourth episode.
Fourth episode. So we're still
there.
New.
Yeah, we're getting there. And we also have a website, BaBaT podcast.com. BaBaT or
BaBaT.
BaBaT. And BaBaT. It's just
it sounds like a drum, like
BaBaT. Yeah. BaBaT. Yes. Oh, so sophisticated. And other closing thoughts.
Please tell us how we're doing. Let us know where we can improve. Again, we are just starting out. This is completely new to us. Well, new to me. Danielle has a couple of her own side projects. I just listen to a lot of podcasts. So please let us know where you think we can improve. Give us suggestions. What do you want to hear?
Yeah.
We will be having a poll coming up on our website, right? The website?
Yeah, it'll be on our website. Yeah, we'll post it at some point.
Yeah, when we finish this book, when we near the end, we're about halfway through when we get next episode done.
I'd say almost halfway.
Almost halfway through. So look out for the poll, and you'll tell us what we should be reading next. I think that's it. Follow us on all of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a Gmail. All of it's on our website.
And I'll be sure to put links in the show notes in case you like that. And we also have a Goodreads page.
Oh, I keep forgetting about that.
I know. It's so cool.
Nerd.
Yeah, I know. I embrace it. And that is it from us. So thank you so much for listening to our
podcast.
I was thinking more of I was going to say our wanderings, the book Lost in a Book, but yeah.
More poetic.
Yeah.
No, I'm straightforward. Thanks for listening. Good night.
Yeah. Farewell.